Good afternoon. Good afternoon, St. Luke. God bless you today. I want to thank you all very much for your faithfulness and, of course, for your patience and, of course, your trust in God and your confidence in me as the pastor here of the St. Luke CME Church. I want to thank other members from other churches who are with us in our worship and who are with us in what we're doing here as well. So we certainly don't want to be very long today, but it's a very, very good lesson, and I want to share a couple of things with you today. Of course, St. Luke family members, make sure that you are still giving during this season and during this time. Once again, I thank those of you who have been faithful and committed in your giving. But I want you to know that, of course, we definitely were not under the impression that we would be out of the worship facility for this long. But still, we have done the very best that we could, and God has managed to bless us. So make sure that you utilize any of these methods toward giving, or just bring your offering by the building. Tomorrow morning, the Lane Chapel Sunday School at 9:30. The Zoom code is the same. Our weekly Zoom meeting will be held this week. Tomorrow morning, our Sunday worship service as well. This is the Zoom code to the district Sunday school lesson. And I noticed some of you have been on, and some of you have been blessed. I want to thank others of you who have participated as well with the with this service, and hopefully you have been blessed by it because we've had some very good instruction. I believe on next Sunday, I'm sorry, the first Sunday in September, we will again be the host church. And so I'll be doing the teaching or selecting one of you to do the teaching as well. Back to school. We want to be prayerful for our back to school, our children, our teachers, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, everybody who's participating in back to school, and especially the parents and the children. So let's make sure that we're prayerful for our kids. I'm going to send out a text, or I've already sent it to my stewards. I need you all to be on with me for a brief meeting immediately following service tomorrow. So at about 11:45, I need you all to dial into the dial into our Zoom number. Of course, we'll be on Facebook Live. We'll be on YouTube Live as well on tomorrow. Our birthdays this month, we see who they are. And so we are definitely happy with those of you who have had your birthdays. We're celebrating with you, and we're thankful that God has given us another year. Also, our deepest condolences go to our family members this morning. We had the funeral services, the graveside service, celebration of life for Mr. Ludwig Lewis, the brother of Miss Pat West. Thank Pastor Donnie Ned for doing an outstanding job officiating that funeral. And on yesterday in Seattle, Washington, the services for Miss Broussard's granddaughter and Tyra Armstrong's daughter, Shanice Sanders. That funeral was held on yesterday, Friday, August the 21st, in Seattle, Washington. And we were able to have Maya to represent us there. And so we definitely are still praying for that family. Today's lesson is a lesson that God knows we definitely need. You may say you don't, but I know I do. And it is the taming of the tongue, the taming of the tongue. In other words, how do we watch our mouths? This is what James is saying to us. Controlling the tongue. All of us struggle with our mouths. The tongue is the hardest part of the body to tame, according to James. Whether talking too much or being negative when you do speak, there are some powerful lessons that we can learn about controlling your mouth. Oh my God. Let's look at these verses, beginning at James chapter 3, verse 1 through 12. Not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. What is James saying? James is saying, in other words, not everybody should be talking. Not everybody should be even rightly dividing or incorrectly dividing the word of truth, because those who teach will be judged more strictly than the student. We all stumble in many ways. Anyone who is never at fault in what they say is perfect, able to keep their whole body in check. Anyone who is never at fault in what they say is perfect, able to keep their whole body. What does this mean? Because what happens is what comes out of our mouths, in other words, leads to the actions of our body. When we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal. I watch horse racing, and jockeys, they have the bit in the mouth of the horse so that they can turn his head. And once his head goes away, the whole body does. Maybe sometimes that may be what some of us need, because we find that we are uncontrollably talking, and perhaps what we're saying, it may be foolishness, it may be wrong, and it may even be hurtful. Or take ships as an example. Although they are so large and driven by strong winds, they are steered by a very small rudder wherever the pilot wants to go. In nautical and terms of seafaring, it is the rudder that is the most important part of the ship, because the sail takes the winds. Yes, it does. But it is the rudder that directs and pilots it. Yes, it's our whole bodies that people see, but it's our mouth that gets us. We can either talk ourselves into a blessing, or we can talk ourselves out of one. Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. I bet you that when the evidence is collected and when all of the research is done, we will find that those wildfires that are blazing, destroying property, devouring land in California, when it's all said and done, you know what we're going to find out? That maybe something as small as a match, a cigarette lighter, started those fires. Well, the same thing is with the tongue. Think about this. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. Think about this. Think about this. How many of us have started fires with our mouths? And once we started the fire with our mouths, we didn't have the ability to put the fire out. So sometimes the best thing for us to do is to learn how to do what? Keep our mouths shut. All kinds of animals and birds and reptiles are being tamed. Sea creatures have been tamed by mankind. But no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil, full of deadly venom and poison. Yes, watch shows about nature where they take animals and they tame them and they train them and they keep them under control. But how many of us can tame our mouths and our tongues, and how we can regret? It is a restless evil, meaning it doesn't stop, and it's filled with venom. And we have that power to do that. With the same tongue, we praise our Lord and Father. And also with it, we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness. Oh, Lord. Out of the same mouth comes praise and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this should not be. For can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? My brothers and sisters, can a fig tree bear olives, or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. In other words, we are created in God's image, and what is in us, whatever comes from us, tells who we really are. Believe it or not, sometimes people may not know what to think about you. That's why quiet people sometimes are the best people to be around, because they're the smartest or the wisest persons to be around, because what they understand is that sometimes silence can be golden. Or to learn to speak when you're asked, or to learn to speak when it is prudent and when it is wise. Yes, I like that. The dangers of having a loose tongue. Well, Verse 2 tells us that giving your opinion on everything is foolish because you don't know everything. People who are shallow speak about shallow things. Yes. Constant quarrels and drama are a sign of a fool. Foolish words will ruin you. Rumors are damaging to everyone. And all the time, it's not just damaging to the person that you're talking about, but it's damaging to you too. It is shameful and foolish to talk before you listen. How many of us wish that we had listened before we open our mouths? Everyone sounds right till the other side starts to speak. In other words, we've got to learn how to listen to people. We've got to learn how to absorb what others say. I know, I know, I know, I know. And look at this consequence as well. Arguments can separate friends. Sometimes arguments can separate families. Arguments can destroy marriages and destroy relationships. Foolish words leave a bad taste in the mouth. And if you talk negative, you will eventually, there's no other way to see it, but you will also reap negative. So these are some of the dangers, just a few dangers of a loose tongue. This was found in a cemetery in England. It says, beneath this stone, a lump of clay, lies Arabella Young, who on the 24th of May began to hold her tongue. Let's hope that we learn what that woman never did, to tame her tongue. As a wise person said, as you go through life, you are going to have many opportunities to keep your mouth shut. Take advantage of all of them. A time to speak and a time to keep quiet. Oh, if we would learn that lesson. Watch what you say. Listen to what Jesus says here. And he called the multitude and said unto them, hear and understand. It is not that which goes into the mouth that defileth a man. Yes, gluttony, drunkenness, God condemns that. But it is not so much what goes into the mouth that defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth that defileth him. Be careful. Watch what you say. Be careful. Be careful about the things you say to hurt people. Make sure to be careful what we even say to our children, to our families, and to students, to people in our churches, to people in our communities. Watch our words, because it is on our words that hinges our reputations as well as our actions. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to preach a sermon. I'm going to preach a sermon from the book of Jeremiah, and the question is going to be asked, is there any word from the Lord? I'm going to answer that question for you tomorrow. I need you to tune in. God bless you, and thank you. Tomorrow on Facebook Live, tomorrow on YouTube Live. God bless you. I'm going to ask and deal with the question, is there any word from the Lord? Thank you so very much. Thank you so very kindly, and I am praying for each of you. God bless you today.